Flat Stanley, Stanley Flat Again, Chapter 6. Emma. Mr. Ramchop came home earlier the next afternoon, full of excitement. Guess what? He said. The old marker department store downtown, 8 floors, all emptied out waiting to be turned down. Well, last night most of it fell down by itself. He switched on the TV. News time, let's get the latest. More on the market building collapsed, a newscaster was saying. It's just a mountain of rubble now, folks. 3 workmen has been treated for minor bruises, but no other injuries are reported. The public is requested to avoid the area until a young woman handed him a slip of paper and ran off again. Hold on, this is just in. The newscaster read from the slip. Wow, a little girl is trapped under all the wreckage. Emma Weeks, daughter of the local businessman Oswald Weeks. Emma Weeks? Stanley exclaimed. She's my class. No wonder she wasn't at the school today. Emma's not hurt, it appeared. The newscaster continued. Firemen called the scene can hear the calling up through the chink in the wreckage, demanding food and water, but Fire Chief Johnson has forbidden any rescue effort. Any disturbance, any shifting of the wreckage, he say, might bring the rest of the building crashing down. Now here's Tom Miller. The TV screen shows a reporter with a microphone standing by the wicked building. Emma Wiggs, shouted the reporter, holding his microphone up to a crack. Do you hear me? Are you all right? Emma's voice was faint, but clear. Oh, sure, I'm just great. I'm half a building following me every day, you know. Come on, get me out of here. Mrs. Ramchop sighed. Such an unfortunate tone. She is under great strain, of course. Emma's always like that, Stanley said. Half an hour later, while Mrs. Ramchop was preparing supper, a siren sounded outside, then died away. Opening the front door, Mr. Ramchop saw a fire department car at the curb. On the doorstep stood Fire Chief Johnson and a very worried-looking man and woman. Mr. Ramchop, said the Chief Johnson, I'll get right to the point, sir. I reckon you hear about little Emma Weeks, trapped in the Mercury Weeks. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Weeks here, and you, and me, we'd like a word with you, folks. Of course, Mr. Ramchop led the visitor into the house and introduced them to his family. Oh, Mrs. Weeks, Mrs. Ramchop cried. You poor daughter, you must be dreadful worried. We are indeed, said Mr. Weeks. The Chief Jones thinks your Stanley might be able to save Emma. Who, me? And who, Stanley? Say Stanley and Arthur. Chief Jones explained, Problem is that if a policeman or one of my firemen tried to dig his way to Emma, the whole rest of the building could crash down on Em. Too bad we don't have a flat fireman. I was thinking, flat fella could squeeze through all those narrow openings we know are there. 'Cause we hear Emma when she called. They recollected a newspaper story with a picture of Stanley here. Hit me right away. The boy could might wiggle in the Emma. For a moment everyone was silent. Then Mrs. Ramchop shook her head. It sounded terribly dangerous, she said. I'm sorry, but I must say no. It is a tad risky, ma'am. said Chief Jones. "But we've got to remember the boy is already flat." Mr. Weeks sobbed. "Oh, poor Emma. How are we to save her?" Mrs. Ramchap bit her lips. Stanley remembered something. "I was just thinking," he turned to Mr. Ramchap. "The other night, when I got mad about all the crazy things that keep happening to me. Remember what you said? You said that sometimes things happen that nobody can see a reason for, and then afterwards some other things will happen, and all of a sudden it seems like the first thing had a reason after all. Well, I was just thinking that me getting flat again was one crazy thing, and then maybe Emma getting stuck where I am the only one who can try to save her. That might be the second thing." Mr. Ramchap nodded and took Mrs. Ramchap's hand. "We should be very proud of our son, Harriet." Mrs. Ramchap thought for a moment. "Stanley," she said at last, will you be very, very careful not to let that enormous building fall on you?" "Okay, sure," Stanley said. Mr. Ramchap turned to Mr. and Mrs. Weeks. "We will allow Stanley to help," she said. "He will do his best for Emma." "Fine boy we got here, brave as a lion," shouted Chef Jones. "Now listen up, Porks. Mrs. Ramchap, you help me get things ready. Then Stanley can go right in after Emma. Got that? Everybody meet us at the Market Building 30 minutes from now."